Hi, I see people coming in there. We're just going to give a couple of minutes for the last few people to come in, and we'll start then if you can just bear with us.
Mä pidin lähikäti kammoksesta.
I got the I don't know what happened after that. It sounded really dramatic, didn't it? I hope that was one of you and not one of us. Nothing personal.
What?
Leslie, I think you're becoming a serial webinar attender. I think you've done every webinar we've been at. And Pauline, I think you've been pretty consistent as well. Hey,
Yeah.
Roisin, how are you?
I'm fine,
Hi.
thanks. How are
Hi,
you?
Ellen. How are you?
I'm good. I'm sorry, Pauline, I cross-talked you.
No,
If the-
no, you're okay. Just nice to be here.
And good to have you. And I can see Fiona. Hi, how are you? And Katrina. Oh, aren't we doing well today? This is Chick Fest. Have we any men in the room?
We have Chris.
Besides Chris. Chris, blessed art thou. Hi, Emma, how are you? Oh, it's lovely to actually see people. Can we do that cheaty thing and flick on cameras for a few minutes? We'll all be good, Chris, and we'll turn them all off when you start to speak, honestly, as a note of reverence. But it's actually nice to see everybody's face. Hi, Renee, how are you? Hi, Laura.
Hi.
Clara. Hi, Emily. Oh, this is
Hi.
Chic Fest. Hi, Kathy. How are you? Yeah, you're definitely blessed amongst women today, Chris. There's no doubt about that. Hi, Stephanie. How are you?
Hi. Good. How are you guys?
So far, we're doing fine. Oh, there's loads of people coming in still.
Okay. Should we just give it another minute or so?
Give them another few minutes, yeah.
Yeah.
So Chris doesn't mind. He'll talk for the other few minutes at the other end anyway and make up for it. Where's everybody coming in from today? Is everyone, not everybody is Ireland, I know. Leslie is definitely the States.
I'm in Cork,
Cork, oh my God, that's the Independent Republic.
the People's Republic of Cork.
Oh, we worship at the altar of, we know that in Dublin we're not worthy, Pauline.
Ah, you are really, you are. We love you despite it all.
Oh, I love that.
Where's anyone else coming in from?
I'm in Chicago.
Oh, Chicago. Hey, that's good. What time is it in Chicago at the moment?
It is 10 a.m.
10 a.m. Okay, we're 4 p.m. here. That's not bad. That's not bad.
No.
I'm from Hungary, near from Budapest, and now it's 5 p.m. here.
Clara, good to have you with us. 5 p.m. in Budapest. So you're actually working overtime now. You should have gone home
Yep.
by now. You're
I'm
showing
home,
serious
yes.
dedication.
I
I'm
am at
impressed.
home, but this is my background, office background since 40 months.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know, I think we're all the same. Nobody is actually in an office anymore. We're all working from home. So we've Hungary, we've Chicago. Katrina, where are you coming in from?
Athens, Greece. Hi.
Athens.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Wow.
Lovely.
It's my last day
Isn't
of summer vacations, so I'm calling you out of Athens right now. And by the sea.
Now, there's no need to share all that much with us and tell us it's absolutely glorious. It's more than we need to know. Okay, the rest of us poor buggers are working.
It's really nice to meeting you all. It's first time seeing you.
And you, I must say. Anybody from any other independent republics?
I think as we've got, shall we make a start?
You're the boss.
Yeah, I think we've got quite a few in now and it's ticking on, so we'll make a start. So good afternoon to everybody from the PO Training Academy in Dublin. Sunny Dublin today, and morning to those of you who are coming in different time zones. I know we have a lot of the CMAs from the States. So I'm delighted to welcome you all to the latest in our webinar series. Today we have Chris, and he's presenting Maximizing Facebook for Business. I'm going to let our CEO, Ellen, introduce Chris to you. I'm just going to get some housekeeping out of the way. So first thing to say is we're recording the webinar for our members who couldn't attend today. The format will be that Chris will make the presentation and we'll take your questions at the end. If you have some questions during the presentation, just put them into the chats and we'll answer them all at the end. I'd ask you during the presentation if you mute your microphones just so we don't get background noise. So I'm going to hand you over to our CEO, Ellen Gunning, and enjoy the webinar.
Thanks, Colette. Oh, look at this. Isn't this really lovely? Whoever dropped off that screensaver, that's brilliant. Go on, humor me. Give me 30 more seconds of saying hello to everybody. Hi, Francis. We were saying hello to everybody earlier. We hadn't seen you. Good to have you with us. I think we've caught everybody else. Francis, where are you coming in from? Because we've got Greece, we've got several locations in the States, we've got the Independent Republic of Cork in Ireland, we've got Dublin.
I'm calling from Glasgow.
From Glasgow. It's a lovely mix. You're most welcome. You're the Scottish contingent, so just to let you know. No pressure.
Thank you.
Listen, I'm delighted today to introduce you to Chris Wolstenholme. Chris set up his own business. Chris is a digital marketer, and he set up his own business about 5 years ago called Crest Social. We've probably been working together for most of those 5 years, I think. Crest Social basically is a social media, it's a digital marketing agency that specializes in organic social media. And I think it will be fair to say that you actually specialize within the social media frame. You actually specialize on Facebook. His clients are very wide ranging. They're across e-learning, e-commerce, sports, no surprise. He's a crazy I was almost going to say Manchester United. Oh, I'm so sorry. A Man City fan, very important. I know nothing about sport, but Man City fan. So he handles clients in sports, hospitality, visitor attractions. It's a very broad range. Mostly his business is looking after clients in the B2C area, so business to consumer. But he's, especially for this presentation, mixed a kind of combination of business to consumer and business to business. I know that we've been working with him for a long time and we always find his insights really fascinating. And Facebook seems to be determined to keep changing every 10 minutes or every time you turn sideways. So I think we're all looking forward to everything you're going to share with us today, Chris. I'll hand over to you. We'll all enjoy the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to attempt to share my screen.
I shall mute.
Here we go. I think I might be at the end of the presentation, so I'll have to go right back to the beginning. Sorry about that. If you're really quick readers, you might be able to catch it all this way. Okay. Yeah, so like Ellen says, I work in social media, working for 10 to 15 clients at any one time. So I think I'm in a unique position where, although I don't think anyone fully will ever understand Facebook and be an expert at it, I'm in a unique position where I'm posting multiple times a day and able to kind of figure out what works on the platform and how you can kind of maximize what you do. So we're going to cover kind of a setting up a strategy. We're going to cover analytics, content, and then a few of the other things that are quite important on Facebook. So like Facebook groups, we'll touch on Facebook advertising, but we'll start here. So why Facebook? I mean, one of the things you notice in social media is there's always the next big player on the market. There was Snapchat, now it's TikTok. This is where you need to be. You need to be on TikTok now. You need to be on Instagram Reels, but it's still really important to be on Facebook. And why? It's because they have so many users, and not only users, they have active users. So if you look at Facebook as a platform and I tell you they've got 2 billion users, you might say, well, 1 billion of those might have signed up 10 years ago and they've all moved on to Instagram, TikTok, etc. But this is monthly active users. So we've got almost 3 billion people using it on a monthly basis. And then we've got almost 2 billion people who use Facebook every single day. So every day, at some point in the day, whether on a bus or train, so watching something on TV and kind of catching up with the news feed, they're using Facebook every single day. So how does this compare? If you look at it compared to YouTube, is probably its biggest competitor, which, as you know, it's a very different form of content, so more long form videos. You might spend an hour watching one video on YouTube, and on Facebook, you probably spend about 15, 20 seconds before you look at the next bit of content. Next up is the kind of 4 main messaging platforms that are really big, but still not really opened up for businesses to use, because it's just conversations between other people. So WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, and Instagram, all owned by Facebook. And then WeChat, which is kind of big in Asia. Then you've got the new kids on the block, TikTok, and then Snapchat, who had their who were TikTok kind of 5 years ago before Instagram kind of took all those kind of features. I think they offered to buy them for 3 billion, and Snapchat said no. So Facebook decided to just copy everything, which you might see that they're doing that with TikTok now. And then, even though if someone asked, you'd probably say Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn are 3 of the biggest networks. If you look at Twitter and LinkedIn, they're absolutely dwarfed by Facebook and a lot of the other platforms. So we think Facebook is still absolute key. So reasons for being on Facebook. There's more business tools than any other platform. So you're able to share blogs directly on the platform, which you can't do on Instagram. There's events you can use. There's groups, local groups, groups for different kind of interests. All of your competitors are using Facebook. Pretty much everyone is using Facebook. It's a level playing field. You've got the same tools, both organically and advertising, that someone like Coca-Cola and Apple would have. And it's also a very powerful advertising tool. And that's because Facebook pretty much knows everything about us. So when advertisers want to use that data to target their customers, then Facebook know exactly how to reach those. So the first thing we suggest to do is develop a strategy. And this it's a lot easier than it sounds. What we suggest to do is align it with your business goals. So although most businesses just want to make more money, make more sales, there's a kind of way you're doing that. So if you're one of your USPs is great customer service, then you need to continue that through Facebook. Make sure that you're easily approachable, you're answering messages quickly and effectively. If you're the kind of person that wants to show your expertise in order to get more sales, so you want to be a thought leader or an expert in your field, you do that on Facebook by blogging, sharing informative videos. You might just want social proof, and if you want social proof, you might just want a lot of followers. You might want to use Facebook to research, to find out what people are looking for. It's a great way of asking your customers directly what they're looking for. You might want it for networking, which is another great tool, especially as we've been not able to do face-to-face networking, or become part of a community and more importantly, get your customers feeling part of your community. So I often tell people to treat their Facebook page as they would any other kind of website or any web presence they've got. So as much information as you possibly can. If you're a restaurant, make sure you've got menus on there, you've got contact information, email addresses, etc., and try and make the things that are important to you. So if you've got a Facebook group that's really important, then make sure that's kind of front and center. You've got the opportunity to put a pinned post there, so make sure that's something important and something that if someone's visiting your Facebook page randomly, then they can find out everything they need to know about your business and make a lasting impression. So make sure you optimize things like profile pictures and headers, make sure they're all really representative of your business. We'll talk about the algorithm, but by filling in as much as you possibly can on your Facebook page, that is something that Facebook likes, and they're more likely to show your content to other people. Likes. People just want more likes. How do I get more likes? Whenever I meet with someone, they say, how do I get more likes on my Facebook page? And the truthful answer is you probably don't need more likes. You need more engaged kind of followers. So the things to consider. So if you try and get page likes for the sake of getting page likes, you're going to end up with people that don't engage with your content going forward. So say, for example, you follow a Facebook page, and then you lose interest in that company or that product, you're not likely to go and unlike that page. What will tend to happen is you'll stop engaging with that content, and then you'll just be a dead weight. So if I've got 2,000 followers and I've got you that don't follow any of my content, then I'd prefer it if you unfollow the page. But from Facebook's point of view, they just say they're people that are not interested. So if you times that, so you've got 2,000 followers, but only 1,000 are engaged and the other 1,000 have lost interest, then you're never going to be able to reach those people again. And it's always more important to have engaged followers. So I always say to people, it's better to have 100 page likes of really engaged followers, possibly customers or at least potential customers, than 1,000 followers, which might look a bit better when people open your Facebook page. But if only 100 of them are engaging, then that to Facebook, that's, well, your page is only important to 10% of the people that follow you, and it can have an effect on how many people see your content going forward. Some people just want social proof. If you're a big company, you might just say, I don't really care. I don't want to engage with my customers. I just want people to think I'm a massive company. So I just want 1 million followers to kind of represent how big our company is, which is fine, but it's not a kind of strategy that we'd follow. So getting likes, good practice, bad practice, sorry. So first of all, and Facebook asks you to do this when you're setting up a page, it'll ask you to invite all your friends and family to like your page, which is all very well, but I always say to people, only ask people that love you so much that every time you put up a bit of content, they will either like it or share it or comment on it, or if they're actually in your target market, so they're actually someone who's following your page, not only because they're in your family, but also because they will engage with your content going forward because they're maybe a customer. Running a like and share contest. We're going to talk about what they call engagement bait later and why this is kind of bad practice. It's against Facebook T&Cs, and they do say that if you run like and share competitions, it will reduce your reach going forward. So it's something that you might think, brilliant, I got 200 comments, 200 likes, all this extra engagement, but it won't be long term. It'll just be a short term fix. And then buying fake likes is something, again, you buy in dead weight, you're not buying relevant followers. So trying to get these people to engage with the content going forward will be impossible. And then we've got good practice. So you can, anyone who's liked your content and don't currently follow your page, whether it's through an advert or organic that someone shared or you've shared into a group, you've got the facility to invite those to your page. So you're inviting people who've engaged with the content before. So the likelihood is that if your content's good, they'll engage with it going forward. Make sure your website, you've got the opportunity to follow you on Facebook, check in on your Facebook page, etc. And again, if you're in any form of your business that's offline, whether you've got a physical store, or whether you use leaflets, business cards, etc., make sure your information's on there so you're connecting with people in real life that will then be interested in your Facebook page going forward. Put Wi-Fi in there as well. Facebook have launched something called Facebook Wi-Fi. So if you're a cafe or a restaurant, you can now add Facebook Wi-Fi or buy a router that allow people to log in via Facebook, and then the first thing they see is your Facebook page. So there's an opportunity then to get your actual customers liking your Facebook page. So the algorithm, if you don't know about the algorithm, it's basically, if you think Facebook 10 years ago, what would happen is they would, any content that was shared, they put it in chronological order in your news feed. And then you would just see it in chronological order. So if your Auntie Margaret put something on, then Coca-Cola, you'd see it in exact that order. But what happens now is I think it's estimated it's about 1,500 pieces of content you'll see every day if there wasn't an algorithm in chronological order, which is just too much. I think the average amount people look at is about 200 to 300 bits of content. So Facebook developed an algorithm based on how you interact with the content on any particular page, but also on other pages. So if you're more likely to click on links to read blogs, they'll show you more blogs. If you're more likely to like offers, they'll show you offers. And basically, based on all the data, they predict what you want to see. And the other reason we have the algorithm is because again, we go back to that daily average users. Facebook wants you to use Facebook and have a really good experience, see valuable content or things that are entertaining to you and interesting to you. So the next time you pick up your mobile phone when you get on the tube or the train, you'll open Facebook again and use Facebook every single day. So a lot of people now, because of the algorithm and because Facebook introduced ads, people say, well, it's paid to play now. There's no point on doing anything organic because they're just making businesses pay. But I have clients that can reach. I had a client recently. We had a video put out there that reached 1 million people. Considering this is a company that gets maybe 150 visitors a day, they were quite happy with that. But that was just organic, just from people sharing it, commenting, etc. And can we manipulate them? Well, the honest answer is yes. Facebook's looking for cues, such as people liking and commenting. Can we manipulate them? Yeah, basically by asking people to do what Facebook's looking for. Would I recommend it? Probably not. This is Adam Masuri. He was at the time of filming this video, he was the head of newsfeed at Facebook. He's since gone on. He's now the head of Instagram. So he helped develop the newsfeed, and he's going to explain the algorithm now in a way that I've never been able to simplify it. So if we just watch this little video, hopefully it'll give you a bit of an understanding into.
People post a lot of things on Facebook.
Can you hear my audio, by the way? Because I just remembered when I shared my screen, I might not have. You can hear the audio. Yeah, brilliant. Okay.
Facebook. Actually, the average person has thousands of things on any given day that they could read in their newsfeed. My name is Adam, and I look after newsfeed at Facebook. And our mission on newsfeed is to connect people with the stories that matter to them most. And to do this, we use a tool called ranking. Ranking is a set of algorithms that we use to try to assess how interested people are in each and every story that they could see on Facebook. So what is an algorithm? Simply put, it's a formula or a set of steps for solving a particular problem. It's a little abstract. So maybe a real-world example. Let's say I'm waiting for my wife Monica at a restaurant and she's running late. And I have to order her something because she texts me and asks me to do so. At that moment, I have a problem to solve. I have to figure out what to order Monica for lunch. And we can actually break that problem down into steps. The first thing I would do would be to check what's on the menu, because I can't very well order something that's not available at the restaurant. Then I consider all of the information I have available to try to make a good decision. Things like, does she tend to like fish or does she not like burgers? Is it lunchtime or dinner time right now? What's good at this restaurant? What did she have for lunch yesterday? And then from there, I'd actually make a prediction. I'd essentially estimate the likelihood that she'd be happy with the fish or the chicken soup. And in ranking, we have names for these steps. The first we call inventory. What's on the menu? In newsfeed, the menu is the stories that you have not seen from your friends and from the publishers that you've decided to follow. The second we call signals. The information we have available to make informed decisions. Signals are things like how old a given story is or who posted it. Even little things like how fast your internet connection is right now or what kind of phone you're on. And we rely on signals and, in a large way, feedback from our community to understand what content might be problematic. Maybe it's violent content or spam or clickbait or false news. And we use all of these signals to try to make informed predictions, which is the third step. Predictions are things like how likely are you to comment or share a given story? How likely are you to hide or report a story? And then we take those few dozen predictions and we weight them and roll them up into a relevancy score, a number that represents how interested we think you are in any given story in your inventory. And then we order stories by those scores. We do this for each and every person who uses Facebook, for every story that's in their inventory, every time they come to newsfeed. And because recency is an important signal, newsfeed is lightly chronological, but not strictly so. And we know we're not perfect and that we make mistakes, which is why we're constantly iterating and trying to get better at connecting people with the stories that matter to them most. And that, in a nutshell, is how newsfeed works. People post a lot.
So hopefully, yeah, you get an indication of how your newsfeed is kind of made up, and from things that you've done, so stories that you've read, actions you've done on posts, commenting, sharing, etc. And then if you can flip it to see when you're publishing for a business, how you get into any specific news feed. So you'll see on your figures, you might have 2,000 followers and you put up a story out, one might reach 500. one might reach 1,500, but you will see probably signals, and we'll go through that a bit more when we talk about analytics and improving your content through that. So again, essentially what Adam said, so all these things make a difference. So if a friend's tagged, someone's commented on it, who posted it, what time. So we consider some accounts. So B2B account, you might be posting, might be better to post at 11 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, or a Friday might be a sweet spot on Monday. For me, for B2C, I post more in the evening, so 6, 7, 8 o'clock, and at the weekends. And a real sweet spot for me is kind of Sunday evening when people are lying on the sofa, kind of the telly's on, but they're not really doing anything. So it's, again, to think about, but we can use the analytics to kind of find out. Here we go. So factors that affect post reach. So obviously reactions, comments, shares. Shares is one that reactions and comment won't really get it out of your existing network or the existing people that like your page, whereas shares will get it on people's news feeds. So if someone shares it to a group or someone shares it to a group of friends, that's your opportunity to get in front of people that don't currently follow your page. People can tag their friends in again, so they would get shown that content even if they're not following your page. Other things that make a difference, so if you share multiple photos and people are loading up the photos and clicking on them, link clicks. If you've got a blog and you're directing them to there, if people are clicking on the links, Facebook thinks, well, actually, he's sharing something that's important to this audience, so it's more likely that they'll see this kind of content again. And again, video views, so, and it's also percentage views. So if you've got a 2-minute video and people are only watching 10, 15 seconds, then Facebook won't rank that high. If you've got a 20-second video and most people are watching it for 20 seconds, then 100% completion rate, great. We'll kind of, that's seen as better content. And scrolling speed is something in my head that some people don't even like and comment, they'll just scroll through Facebook. And I think if your finger's stopping for a period of time and looking at some content and reading the content, I think that's also something that Facebook takes into consideration, but I could be wrong. So things to consider. So post frequency. So for some businesses, it might be completely viable that they can share 4 things a day on Facebook every day, and people lap it up, people love it, people engage with every single thing. The reality is it's not going to be that much. Some people might want to post 3 or 4 times a week. Some people might want to post every day, but again, it's the good thing about Facebook is you can experiment and kind of try this. The good thing with Facebook is if you share something that doesn't get much reach, no one's seen it, back to the drawing board, try something different. The key to this is always experiment. So the types of posts, and again, you can go into your analytics and see what type of post for this particular account. Video does really well, and I think video does well in general, but we know that video scares people. But luckily Ellen and Colette at the Irish Academy have a course about getting confident on video, which you might want to consider if you feel that's part of a kind of strategy going forward. So we just talked about when to post, and Facebook will tell you exactly when your fans are online. So you'll have a graph just like this in the analytic part of your business page. So for this page, again, B2C. So looking at that sweet spot being 9 o'clock. Does that mean that I'd post at 9 o'clock? Probably not. I'll probably post maybe between 7:30 and 8 o'clock, so that then Facebook can get these cues and get some people interacting with it. So by the time everyone's online at 9 o'clock, that post is on as many news feeds as possible. This is just an example just to show you that there's no kind of right or wrong way to get in page reach. So this was 2 completely different accounts. One was a visitor attraction, one was a running event, both are very similar page kind of likes. So we put a bit of content out, and this one received 101 reactions, 2 comments, 67 photo views. And this one only received 28 reactions. So on face value, you probably think the one with that's been liked 28 times wouldn't be as kind of a good bit of content or reach as many people as the one that had 101 reactions. But the important thing here is the 9 comments and 6 shares that actually tipped that one to be the better post and the one that got on more news feeds. It's just something to consider, that likes aren't everything, and just to make sure that you kind of maybe asking questions, giving people a reason to comment. Again, video insights are important. Now, Facebook at the minute is telling people to share videos over 3 minutes. And I think that's because it wants Facebook Watch to kind of compete with YouTube. And sometimes they'll do this, they'll tell you that this is the way you should be doing it. But from my own research, I don't go much over 30 seconds for a Facebook video. And I'd normally stick around the 15, 20-second mark. And then what you've also got to remember is that first 3 seconds of a Facebook video, it should be really engaging and get people's attention, because someone's hovering with their finger for the next bit of content. If your video hasn't grabbed them, they'll just carry on scrolling. One of the things we suggest, especially if you are a company that does kind of longer form videos, so maybe 20 minutes to an hour, is we suggest sharing on Facebook, not just sharing a link to the YouTube page, because that's, again, Facebook wants you to stay on Facebook. So we'd share a shorter version to Facebook natively. So we'd upload the video onto Facebook, the shorter version, and then we'd usually say, for the full video, head over to YouTube, and then you get your Facebook reach for the one post, but you're also getting them to move on to YouTube for the longer post. So how to improve your content? So again, we'd say experiment and then look. You get all this information. So if you load up the analytics for Facebook, you'll get to analyze every one of your previous posts. So you'll see, even though video was doing well on this particular account, the last video we shared didn't do well, but the photo did really well. It got a lot of engagement. So you can go through previous content, see what people are really connecting with. Sometimes that might be, for some organization, it might be you do really well when you share information about people behind your organization, when you share personal stories, and then they might share it as well. That really works well in B2B, is showing the human aspects behind the business, showing the people that are the driving force. Use competitor insights. We'll show you on the next slide how you can look at what your competitors are doing on Facebook. And then use your own experience. And whenever I post, or whenever people are posting, I would suggest asking 3 questions, because what you'll get on Facebook is a lot of people just posting for posting's sake, or don't really know what to post today, but I'll just put something on. So I ask myself 3 questions. Would I like this content if I was in the target market? Would it kind of prompt me to comment and leave my opinion on it, and would there be any likelihood of me sharing it? And if the answer is no to all those questions, then I'd say don't post that content and try something different. And then again, experiment. Like I said, on Facebook, you've got the backup of, if your content doesn't connect with your audience, no one sees it, so there's nothing lost, and then you just go and try again. So yeah, so another thing in Facebook, you can go in and you can look at other accounts that you'd like to follow. You can see how well they're doing in comparison to you for that week. If you click on it, it'll show you the post that they put on that week. And so I suggest using maybe a really big competitor in your field, someone who's probably got maybe a massive social media team compared to you, who might have kind of a social media manager like me, or just doing it yourself. And then someone who's a really close competitor. And then just look what they're doing and see if they're connecting more than you. And I would never suggest kind of copying content, but maybe take a cue. Actually, that kind of content is really resonating with my target audience. I need to do something like that. So content. So everyone, content creation is the biggest kind of frustration as a marketer, especially one with multiple social media clients. I've got to create content every single day, and I've not only got to create content, but I've got to create content that will stand out above all my competitors and against my previous kind of posts. So the curse of being a social media manager is, if you have a good month and you've had some great content and it's really flowing, you can guarantee the next month you won't want to share the report, because you can't go on that upward trajectory, or I would be a very rich man by now. So what should content do? It should entertain your audience. So that might be videos that entertain you. You only have to look at the most popular videos that have ever graced the internet to know that they're entertaining. So Gangnam Style, or the sneezing panda, things like that, things that really kind of entertain and people just want to show everyone despite them not wanting to look. Inform. News is important on social media. So especially if you're in an industry where you can kind of be a bit of an authority, and you can create the news, then that's great, especially if it's more niche down than what you'd find in the national news. Educate people. So again, if you're that thought leader, so for me, if I want to educate people, I might give tips on social media, tips on how to increase engagement, tips on how to get confident on camera, etc., and give value. So like I said, Facebook want you to get as much as you can. So if you're getting genuine value, so you go on Facebook and you find a great recipe, tips on how to wash your car, and a kind of a great way of getting your child to sleep at night, then you might think, well, tomorrow I might go back and learn even more. So what does content look like? Content is literally anything that you would see on Facebook. So it might come in the form of a photo, a video, a blog, a short story, a broadcast. It could be an offer. So if you've got 2 for 1 or 20% off, etc. It can be news. It can just be an update about your business. It can be an event. So it can literally just be anything. So when we're talking about creating a post, again, we talked about Facebook wanting to keep people on Facebook. So a great way of doing that is tagging other businesses in. You've also got the likelihood that they might share that content. Again, we talked about giving value, but we do want to be promotional on Facebook. But we do suggest maybe 4 or 5 posts giving value or entertainment, and then 1 being promotional. But that doesn't mean that when you do something, a really good post, a great video, doesn't mean you can't add that call to action. It doesn't kind of take away from the good bit of content you put up there just to put the ask on the bottom. When people will turn off again on your page is when you just literally sell. You're not being social, you're not connecting with your audience. That's when they'll kind of say, that's not interesting me anymore. They're not getting anything. But when you are giving that value, and when you do finally come with the promotion, people might actually say, well, actually, I've got a lot of value out of that. That's the company that I want to buy from. They've nurtured that relationship, so I'm ready to buy. And always use an image and video just for the pure reason that you're just missing out on screen kind of real estate. So if you just see a little text update, it's just easier to scroll past without reading, whereas an image or a video can capture your attention and get you to then read the copy. What do we mean by engaging content? It's literally things that make people act. So it makes them want to comment, it makes them want to share it with a friend or tag a friend in, look at this, or it makes them want to like or love it. We social media marketers hate the angry face emoji that you can leave on a post. It makes us upset for days on end. We always want to know the story about why someone's left it, but it's very rare that they'll leave it. Sometimes they'll comment as well. But yeah, it's not a pleasant one. But so what Adam said about negative feedback, they're also taking that into account when they're deciding who's going to see it. So if you've got a lot of negative feedback on a post, then you're less likely to get a bit of reach. Give people a voice. Since social media has arisen, everyone's wanted a voice. They've got a voice, they've got an opinion, they like to give it. And I always say to people, if you can make people think that they're helping you as a business and they're helping you develop a product or giving feedback that'll help you as a business, then it's something that people want to do. And then one that starts a conversation between friends. A few years ago, Facebook said they'd gone back to the drawing board and they were making Facebook a platform that was going to get friends talking to friends, and businesses thought that's the end of Facebook for business. But I think one of the kind of best posts you can put out there is one that starts a conversation between friends on your post. So you're almost kind of generating that conversation between friends who might not have otherwise conversed. How can we encourage engagement? So you can ask questions. And again, sometimes I'll suggest this to people and they'll ask a question on Facebook and no one responds. What I do suggest is just keep asking questions until someone responds. And then when someone responds, engage with them, just say, thank them for the comment or start a conversation. What you will find is that the more people see people commenting, the more likely they are to comment, and the more likely they think that you might even be interested in their comment. Again, is another driver to make them comment. So it might be a slow burner at first, but just keep asking questions. Ask for help. People always love to help. So if you genuinely need help, ask your audience and see if they're willing. Create polls is a kind of another headache for us Facebook marketers, because Facebook allowed polls, then they stopped polls, then they brought them back, and now they've stopped them again. So if it was part of a strategy or some tactics you were using, it's a bit frustrating. You can use them in groups, so there is that option, but they've kind of gone away from pages. We talked about engagement bait before, which is it's literally trying to kind of trick the algorithm into giving it the signals that it wants. So this is vote baiting. So you put a picture up and tell them that if A, B, C, so if they like C, then use the laughing face emoji. If it's B, like the love emoji. So Facebook's kind of thinking, oh, this has got a lot of different reactions. This is important bit of content, but in reality, you've told your audience to do that. React baking, so like if you're an Aries, etc. So these are people just like it because they want to tell you stuff. Share with 10 friends for a chance to win. You've all seen this tactic. Tag baiting, so if your friends look like this girl, tag her in. You're just asking them to do that specific. And comment baiting, so comment yes if you love rock as much as I do. And one of the things we tell people about social media is if your content can get them to show a bit of themselves or a bit of themselves that they really want to put out there, then they are likely to get into on that. So if they do love rock, then they will likely do that, but it's not something that Facebook likes or encourage. And again, it's something that they might kind of reduce the reach on your page going forward if you do it. You can, I mean, you do want to, if you want to get people to comment, you want to put something out there, you can use just use different terminology. So say tell us about, so that you're not directly asking them to comment, but tell us about the time when you whatever. You can do it more subtly and more kind of organic. This is just to kind of just trying to trick the algorithm a little bit. This is the worst kind of example. So you have to you make sure you've liked both pages that are in the competition. You have to comment, you have to tag 5 friends in, you have to share it, etc. You have to sell your kittens. There's a lot of things you have to do just to enter the competition. It's and it's again just to get Facebook to think that this piece of content is really important. It's been shared 65 times, it's been commented on, etc. But again, I think Facebook's algorithm is clever enough to pick up on this and clever enough to. And I have seen real world examples of, and it can be frustrating. I've seen recently a few kind of other people in the hospitality industry that have been doing it, ran a competition one day, once a day for 12 days, and it just got a ton of engagement. They got a ton more likes, but obviously, like I said before, we've been following that page, and over the time, they're posting 3 times the amount of content, and they're not getting the same level of reach that we're getting by just kind of following the rules. Other thing to consider, I think the top one is the biggest one for me, is speaking to existing audience. Social media is not like a traditional network advertising where you're literally just talking to someone as they don't know your product. You've got followers that have been following you for a long time. They might be customers, they might be potential customers that are really aware of your business, and they're the ones that are your kind of your biggest asset. So you can alienate them by making out that they don't know your business, and you're kind of telling them this is where they can find you and this is your address and this is your website on every post. Make sure that you're giving as much attention to your existing audience as you are to kind of add to people that you might want to follow your page going forward. Again, don't over promote. Like I said, 80-20 is quite a good one. So every 4 or 5 posts go promotional. I think people are more happy once they've had the value to then kind of listen to your promotion. Use a mix and variety of content. So even if video works well, not all of your followers are like video. So make sure there's some pitch posts in there. Make sure there's some questions that people might want to engage with. Just use a mixture of content. You can heavily, like some pages will heavily be photos, and that's fine, but we still recommend using a mixture. Consider frequency, like we said before. So like once a day might work well for your business. It might be once every other day. For some businesses, I know they post ridiculous 10-20 times a day, and some do it on the kind of basis that they'll get as much reach posting 20 times a day as because they're posting so many times, and even if they're not reaching very money, it's a numbers game. But I'd rather have 2 really good bits of content that a lot of people are going to like than 20 pieces of content that are just there for the sake of it, just to build the numbers up. And then try not to repeat content. It's on Twitter, I think you can do this. You can put the same post up, because Twitter it comes and goes really quickly. But I think with Facebook, you can kind of repurpose content and use like a different part of a blog, etc. But I wouldn't kind of repeat the same kind of content, because again, if you got a lot of engagement on the first post, by the time you posted it 2 or 3 times and people have seen it, they're less likely to engage. And again, that's negative signals from your page. So video, there's a lot of barriers to video. cost. People think it's expensive. They need really expensive equipment. They need the know-how editing software. A lot of people are just not confident in front of the camera. Again, like we said, we can. There is a couple of courses on the Irish Academy, not the Irish Academy, the PR Training Academy that you can pick up, where you can just increase your confidence in front of the camera. Again, skills. So people might be think they can't set up the scene or the lighting, or it might just be I'm not very, again, not looking at other people who are really confident and thinking I've not got the skills to do that, and then uploading, especially if you've not got good internet, uploading can be a very stressful process that can take a long time. So things to consider, especially on social, is they don't have to be polished. People, when you're posting the amount of content, people like it when it's a bit rough around the edges. They feel like they can connect more with the company, but then every video is really polished and really super. You might find that on social media, they're more likely to connect with something that is a little bit rough around the edges, or something that's just filmed off the cuff. Again, look at keeping them short on Facebook, just because people don't watch videos for a long time on Facebook. Make sure you post them natively. Again, Facebook doesn't want you to link out to YouTube because it's another social network. If you post your video natively on Facebook, they're much more likely to promote that in the newsfeed than if you're sending them directly to YouTube. And again, we've talked about getting the attention within that first couple of seconds, because what you've got to remember on Facebook is everyone's waiting for that finger to scroll to the next shiny bit of content that might be a little bit better than yours. So Facebook will give you this checklist, and they will tell you about the 3 minutes long. But there's other things you can do, so make sure you add tags. This is important now that Facebook Watch is kind of another tab, if you notice, on your phone. So they're trying to push that. So you, as well as your newsfeed, you'll have Facebook Watch tab, which is video after video after video, which will have a combination of content of really popular videos to videos that people in the pages that you follow are sharing. So live video, again, is something that Facebook kind of promotes. I remember when they first brought it out, anytime you went live, and everyone would get a notification that you were live, because they were trying to push this part of the platform. But it is a great way if you're confident enough to do a behind the scenes, and like maybe an event or Q&A. So I'll come and answer your questions about social media. I'm live on Facebook at 2 o'clock. I'm going to answer. Or if you're doing an interview, just a quick interview with someone, you can do that on a live. Just make sure you're letting people know. Because obviously, a bit like Zoom, when you've got that kind of 5 minutes where you're kind of saying we're waiting for more people to come in, we're waiting for more people to come in. And again, with Facebook, that if they've not grabbed your attention in that first few seconds, then you're likely to lose them. So Facebook groups, really powerful tool, and something that other social networks other than LinkedIn has, and I don't think LinkedIn groups have ever really reached their potential. So pros of groups, you can reach a wider audience. So again, by sharing into groups, especially now that pages can share directly into groups, if the groups allow, you can reach that wider audience and get outside your network. So if you are a local business and there's a local group that allows businesses to share, you can get more eyes on your content that way. But always try and get them to come to your page then and like your page. I don't think reliance on groups is not great. They're free to use. Like I said, pages can now join. So for social media managers, and probably for you as well, just a few years ago, you had to be that person. You had to be the person behind the business. And for me, I couldn't share my client's content because another client might get annoyed if they were in the same area, kind of thing. So now I can post in a group as a business. It's a bit easier. I mean, some people, if you're a personal brand or you really are kind of actively known as the face behind the business, then by all means, that might even perform better coming from a person than a page. And again, groups have different demographics and interests, whether it's locality or whether it's interest. So if you're a beer seller and you know there's a group that got loads of beer lovers in, it might be an absolute goldmine for you. The cons is that you're battling group rules and the algorithm. So some groups will say no business post, no promotional post. Other groups will say maybe one a week or one a fortnight. So make sure you read the groups and rules and don't fall foul of those. Now your competitors might be in the same group. Again, if you share as a page, you can actually see the reach. If you're sharing as an individual, it can be hard to see how well that content is doing. not everyone in your group will be your target, and some people I mean, I've had clients that have been attacked in groups. Once you go out of that kind of your followers and your kind of page likes, you exposing yourself to a wider public, some that might be kind of soapbox warriors that have maybe used your business before and weren't happy, and they'll be quite happy to tell you on that post that you put in there. Make sure the group is popular and relevant, and always be aware that if you're relying too heavily on groups to get your content out there, there's always the possibility that groups close down, people who run them get fed up, or kind of there's been a spate recently of Facebook just shutting groups down randomly. So just be aware of that. And customer service, using Facebook to communicate. There's a 54% of customers now prefer social messaging channels for customer care rather than phone or email. I think we've come a long way now from the sending a company an email and getting an auto response saying we'll respond to you in 72 hours. People, I think the statistic now is people are looking for a response within 2 hours. So be aware that they will contact you by social, and if they don't get a response, they might also call you out on social. So it's just good to be aware that if you can set systems in place where you can put auto responses out for your frequently asked questions. So if people are asking for menus, or if people are looking to book, you can also put auto responders so you're not kind of constantly on your phone like me. So respond to messages quickly, put up a welcome message or a thank you. So even if you know you can't always respond, for example, if you're running a busy restaurant and you're managing the social media yourself, you might just put a thank you for getting in touch. During opening hours, we're normally quite busy, but we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Again, you're going to get negative feedback, whether you like it or not. There's going to be people that are not fans of your business and they're going to want to tell you about it. My advice in this situation is just to respond, as long as it's constructive, then respond once, put your side of the story, and then leave it there. Don't get into a big to and fro, just put your side in and people will see you've taken the time to respond. If it's offensive or use bad language or hate speech or anything, then we just hide the comments. If you hide a comment, the person who's left the comment can still see it, their kind of friends can see it, but your wider audience won't see it and they won't know you've done that. So banning them can just fuel the fire. I think if it's hate speech or really offensive, then yeah, by all means ban them. But if it's just the kind of negative on every post, you can just hide the posts and hopefully they're getting it off the chest and you're not having anything detrimental. So I think that's it. So I'm happy to answer any question, Facebook related or even social media related.